Also, if you have rubbing alcohol on the table directly where the sparks are going to fly, you'll want to remove that and don't blow yourself up, right? Wear gloves and a face mask. Today's video is just about how to build the fork tools. Now, I've never actually done this like I was saying in my last video, but I went to Home Depot. I picked up this 3-inch coupler, ABS coupler. It's pretty thick, pretty rigid. I'm going to use that for my spring compressor, alright? I've also got 1/2 inch 13 by 1 foot. So it's 13, I think that's the thread pitch. And it's 1/2 inch, just a straight rod, right? You've seen these I picked all this stuff up at Home Depot. So the idea is to basically find center, cut the rod in half, and then drill through the coupler perfectly through both sides. And then I've got some nuts that I'm going to thread on. So when it's all said and done, this should be cut and tapered with a nut on each side, and then I should be able to compress the spring with using this tool. So that'll be the spring compressor. If you don't know what the spring compressor is, you might want to just look it up in the manual or just check it out, the Suzuki Special Tool spring compressor, okay? And then you can kind of see what we're after here. There's also going to be a plate here. We have to basically jam this plate in here to catch this nut that we have to undo on the forks. It'll make more sense when we do it. But my idea is here to drill a hole through here and just kind of using a Dremel tool, kind of make a U shape. And I'll throw a picture of what I'm going after here. This is just like, well, I guess it's just for fastening lumber together, right? You know, you see, you can use pretty much whatever you can get your hands on. This was $2, so this is what I went with. All in all, I probably paid about not even $10 for all this stuff here, and you know, I would have been well into the $200 Canadian to buy the tools online. So yeah, let's put the 3-inch pipe in the vise, and we'll go ahead and punch a 1/2 inch hole through both sides. I'm going to start by drilling the hole for the 1/2 inch threaded rod. I'm going to start with a little pilot bit here. Or if I have a really long bit, maybe I can just go all the way through. Like I said, I'm kind of just winging it here, okay? As long as I can keep it straight. That doesn't look bad. So just try to get yourself a longer bit so you can just go straight through instead of trying to, like, I don't want to go on the other side and measure, you know what I mean? I'm pretty lazy like that. Oh. Try not to breathe that shit in. Whew. Well, that should work. It's straight this way, it's not exactly straight that way, but she'll do. I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to try and go even. I'll take my Sharpie and I'll just mark it halfway through. And I want to try to cut this threaded rod. Now, it's to my knowledge that it doesn't really matter if you dicker these threads up on this side, because we're going to be taking a grinder and grinding this down to a point, because inside of the fork there's a rubber bushing, like a sleeve, and it's way smaller than 1/2 inch. Just doing 1/2 inch so when we crank down on this thing, this bolt doesn't bend. So it's no worries, that worked pretty good. Alright, so some stuff you have to do off camera and kind of be the guinea pig so you don't look like a complete idiot. This is one of those things. So you do have to, the rod has to go through the pipe, the nut has to be on the inside, and you have to have a taper here, right? So You are going to have to grind some of these threads back. How much, I'm not sure. I'm going to make it to a pretty small tip. I got my grinder out here with a bigger blade. This is 1/8 of an inch, okay? It's a pretty beat up blade, so watch yourself, okay? I do have a newer one, I'll probably swap it out. But what I'm doing here is I threaded my nut on, just so I know that my threads are still good, which they are. Because at the end of the day, obviously, I'm going to have to put the nut inside and thread my grinded piece of 1/2 inch rod. And I want to make sure I can get my nut on, because I want to tighten my nut to this on both sides so that the rod isn't all sloppy in here, right? 'Cause, you know, this is plastic, right? So it seems to be working pretty good. I've got my I got my nut on. What I think I'm going to do is keep grinding it with the nut on, so that, say if some of these threads get a little bit messed up, at the end of the day at least I'll be able to take a combo wrench and kind of work it back and hopefully more or less rethread these, right? Pretty big steel, so I'm going to keep doing that. I basically grind 1, 2, 3, 4 threads worth of steel, we'll call it. And I'm just working it back and forth here. I'll show you my technique. Also, if you have rubbing alcohol on the table directly where the sparks are going to fly, you'll want to remove that and don't blow yourself up, right? Wear gloves and a face mask. Alright, so I played around with it for a solid 10 minutes here, and at the end of the day I'm not really sure the diameter of the hole on the on this plastic bushing sleeve, but here's what I've got set up. Hopefully you guys can see that okay. You know, and my careful not to damage the threads too much, but these big thread pitches, it's hard to really mess up. So that's one done. Now, like I was saying, so more or less, you gotta make 2 of these. Doesn't matter how long it is this way, but you're gonna insert one side here and just thread your nut on. She's still toasty hot. And then your other nut is gonna go on this side. I guess you don't want like a stupid long rod like that, 'cause it's a little unnecessary. And then once we actually know the size of our tube and what we need, we can just adjust it and tighten those down. And then you've got yourself your compression, your spring compressor. It should work. So let me go ahead, I'm going to make another one of these and I'll show you the finished product. I tell you, I never would have made it in fabricating or welding. It's a hot nut. Alright, well, here's what I ended up with. Hopefully you guys can see that. That's the general idea. You know, 2 tapered ends, 4 nuts. You know, they're pretty straight actually. Now obviously I don't know my distance in here, but this is all adjustable. And then, yeah, there's $10 worth of material right there. Hopefully it works, so let's not jinx ourselves. So yeah, now the next project here is to drill a hole through here, and then I'm going to make a bit of a U shape. I got a picture off the internet of what I'm trying to aim for, so I'll go ahead and do that. I think I'll just start by putting this in the vise, and then kind of drill in a hole, and then I got a Dremel tool. I'm just going to kind of work a little bit of a U into it. Alright, so experimenting again. Went pretty good. Started with the small drill bit. I actually used the stepper bit to increase my hole size. What I'm trying to aim for was 7/16, okay? That's the size of the hole that I want to cut this U. I want to basically go 7/16 hole and then cut some of this material out. So I'm feeling so good with the grinder right now, I might just do it all by just grinding it. So let's just see how that works. Okay, I got all my stuff on. Something like that. I definitely got to work on it. Take those off so I can not screaming at the camera. I think this might go. Just got to measure in here, make sure I'm 7/16 in here. Kind of give it a little bit of a U, and that should work good for capping the jam nut there. Looks like I could probably square it up a bit too.